So it's an honor to speak here at IDSS and describe some of what our scientific active equity team at BlackRock, SAE, is doing in the area of big data. Now, this is a time of significant change for investment management, and I'd like to present the 40,000-foot view of some of these disruptions and how big data fits into the future of active management. And then Garthy will provide a closer look at some examples. So another BlackRock colleague and I just published an article in a leading practitioner journal on how smart beta is disrupting the investment management industry. So what's smart beta and how is it disrupting active management? So first of all, smart beta is a terrible name, but it refers to a set of investment ideas that have historically led to outperformance, and there are reasons to believe will continue to outperform going forward. So these smart beta ideas include value, systematically overweighting cheap stocks based on low price to earnings or low price to book, momentum, overweighting stocks that went up over the prior 12 months, quality, overweighting stocks with high quality of earnings, size, overweighting small stocks, and low volatility, overweighting low volatility stocks. Now these factors should outperform in the future because they involve buying riskier stocks or stocks systematically subject to behavioral mistakes by other investors or due to structural impediments. So in each case, there are reasons to believe that these smart beta factors will continue to outperform. So how are these a disruptive innovation? Well, it's hard to call the ideas themselves innovative, at least today, as they've been known for at least 20 years, and in some cases back to the 1930s. The innovation is in how they've been packaged together into new, transparent, low-cost products that carve out a significant component of active management. And to the extent that active managers have succeeded historically, it was in part due to these factors. So in fact, we can decompose active returns into a smart beta piece and a pure alpha piece. So consider, for example, a fund that tries to outperform the S&P 500. Well, every period we can compare that fund's return to the return to the S&P 500, and the difference is the active return. So that's the first decomposition there. And the goal of active management is simply to deliver positive active returns as consistently as possible. Now, with a bit more analytical sophistication, more sophisticated than subtraction, we can decompose the active return into two pieces. A piece resulting from the fund's average exposure to smart beta factors, and a pure alpha piece, the part of the active return orthogonal to smart beta. In our paper, we showed that if you look at active international equity managers, on average, they invest about 1/3 of their risk budget in smart beta. So you can see explicitly how smart beta is carving out a significant part of active management and selling it more cheaply. That's the disruptive innovation. Going forward, active managers can either focus on delivering smart beta cheaply, which is a volume game, or delivering pure alpha, that part that's rare and expensive. So where are managers going to seek pure alpha? So here's where we get to big data and the Holy Grail. So one important area is going to be big data. Our group has been delivering pure alpha over the last 5+ years through a combination of text analysis, search, social media, and machine learning. So I'll let Garthy describe just a couple of examples out of the many forecasts we've developed in this area.
Thank you, Ron. So when it comes to big data, the Holy Grail is turning data into information into insight, and insight into alpha. And here, today, I'll show you a couple of examples on how we are doing that. So this is a live Twitter feed that's flowing into BlackRock. What can we see here? So first we can see that Europeans haven't gone to bed yet. Australians haven't got up yet. Africa is dark. So is China, but probably for a different reason. There are about 6,000 tweets that flow by in a second, 6,000 tweets per second. That's a lot of data. On the other hand, this is a data set that exemplifies the characteristic of big data and the challenges that come with it. It's big, it's really big, and it's social media, tags, as you can see, it's full of emojis, emoticons, and things that you don't understand. And also it comes in many different languages, full of slangs and a lot of noise. We know the signal-to-noise ratio of Twitter is really small. So given that, the question is, how can we extract any information out of this? So on June 27th last year, Greece announced for a referendum to be held 8 days later on July 5th to decide whether to accept the EU's bailout conditions or not. Several traditional polls were tracking it, and most of them calling for the yes to win or for a close call, as you can see here. We were tracking it in our system, and we could see that it was the no campaign, the tweets tagged with no, was seeing the burst of activity. And in fact, leading up to the July 5th, they had nearly twice as many tweets compared to the yes campaign. And it turned out in the referendum, no campaign won 61% of the votes. It's not to say that social media or Twitter is more accurate, but rather it provides more timely and granular access, a granular alternative to the conventional approaches that we can use to improve the accuracy of the forecast. But the Grexit, as it was known, is an old news. The talk of the town is Trump, right? So let's see how he is doing. Sorry. Okay, sorry, there's some issues, so let me show you this. So here you can see the time series of, there are a lot of things going on here. This is a platform that we built to analyze Twitter data. So you don't worry if you don't get it at all. Let me walk you through a couple of things. So this is the time series of the tweets tagged with Donald Trump. You can see it's trending up. And if you're wondering what happened here, this is the Detroit debate with Megyn Kelly. And you can see overall, the sentiment here, we use sort of in-house algorithm to measure the sentiment, and you can see overall it's negative. The color here corresponds to the polarity of the sentiment, orange being negative, and the opaqueness corresponds to the strength of the sentiment, size of the circles correspond to the number of tweets. It seems negative, but this is where we should be careful in extracting information from data. Here, the problem is these tweets, in fact, most of these tweets are supporting or defending Trump, but the tweets have the tone that's usually associated with negative sentiment, angry, frustration, and so on. So we can't directly interpret this data as against Trump. I can't emphasize enough that Twitter is just one of many data sets that we use in SAE, and another place where you use machine learning and text analytics is in finding commonalities across firms. The standard industry classification that is used for this purpose is static. It's crude and imprecise. For example, internet was an industry for 3 years after dot-com bubble, and cloud isn't an industry yet. So here, the focus is in finding unobvious connections from the business descriptions and other text sources. For example, if two companies are talking about North Dakota, probably they're into fracking. If they're talking about Android or iOS, they're probably into mobile phones. So we can group the firms along these unobvious exposures. We have a signal going live of this idea since mid-July 2014. And our goal is delivering alpha, and these are just two examples of how we can make use of big data for that. And with that, I'm looking forward to your questions in the discussion.